It is late enough that the roads are quiet now. Rain moves softly against the windows, and somewhere beyond the glass, a few lights are still on. Tonight, there are 4 stories from places people only meant to pass through. A motel room, an empty elevator, a cabin road, a rest stop before dawn. Nothing here is loud. Nothing needs to hurry. The rain had been falling for so long that I had stopped noticing it as sound and started noticing it as weight. The way it pressed the wipers down on the windshield, the way it blurred the white line on the highway into a long pale fish that kept getting away from me. I had been driving for hours. The radio had faded into static an hour ago, and I had not turned it back. I was not going anywhere in particular. I was just going. Then the neon sign came up out of the dark. Vacancy in 2 orange letters, the second V flickering as if it was thinking about it. The lot was small. 6 rooms, maybe 8, all in a single low line under a shingled roof that sagged in the middle the way old roofs do. I pulled in. The car idled for a moment before I cut the engine. The rain kept going. The door to the office was unlocked. I pushed it open, and the bell above the frame gave a small, tired ring. The lobby was warmer than it should have been for a place this empty. There was a counter, a register, a wall of keys that mostly hung from hooks. No one was at the desk. No one was in the chair by the window. The television was off. A clock on the wall was running a few minutes slow. A vending machine down the corridor hummed in a low, even note I could feel in the back of my teeth. And on the counter, in a small brass dish, a single key was lying there waiting. A square white tag hung from it on a thin string. The number on the tag was 412. I looked at it. I looked at the empty chair. I looked back at the key. I picked it up. It was warm in my hand, the way metal gets warm in a heated room, but only if it has been sitting still there for a while. I put it in my pocket and stepped back out into the rain. Room 412 was at the far end of the building, past a row of doors with little brass numbers and windows that looked in on heavy curtains. The outdoor carpet was the color of a wet leaf, and it squished faintly under my shoes. The rain ran along the gutter above me in a thin, steady line, and fell off the edge in places where it had found the seams. The neon sign behind me threw a long orange smear on the wet concrete. I could hear the highway in the distance, very faint, like a river a long way off. Somewhere in the lot, a car radiator was ticking, the slow metallic tick of an engine that had just been shut off, and the sound kept going long after the engine had gone cold. The key slid in and turned without resistance. The door was already unlocked, just barely, the kind of unlocked that happens when you are in a hurry, when you have one hand full of bags and the other on the knob, and you mean to come right back. I pushed it open with the flat of my hand and stepped inside. The air that came out to meet me was warm. Not the cool held-in warmth of a heater left on low, but the real warm, the kind that comes from a body in a room for a long time. The door closed softly behind me on its own, the way doors do in places with old hinges and no one to hold them. I stood in the dark for a moment, listening. The rain on the windows, the faint hum of the heater under the floors. A small red light on the smoke detector above the bed, blinking once every few seconds. Nothing else. I set my bag down by the door without making a sound. I found the lamp by feel and turned it on. The bulb was low and warm, the kind of bulb that motels use because it makes the room look softer than it is, and the light came on in a slow gold that took a second to settle. The bed was turned down. Not rumpled, not messy. Turned down the way it is done in nicer places, the sheet folded back at a neat angle over a thin brown blanket. The two pillows had been slept on. There were dents in the centers of them, the small soft dents that take hours to make. I touched one with the back of my hand. It was still holding the warmth of a head. I stepped back. The room looked lived in, but gently, the way a room looks after someone has gone out for a while. A glass on the nightstand, a 1/4 inch of water in the bottom. The curtains were not quite closed. A slice of orange light from the sign outside fell across the carpet in a long line, and the wallpaper, the kind of beige paper with thin gold lines through it, took on a faint, warm wash in that stripe. There was a smell in the air, faint, something I could not name. It was not the sharp lemon of carpet cleaner, some housekeeping crew's use. It was a person's smell. I have no better way to put it. The smell of someone who had been there for a while, who had washed their hair in this bathroom and put on something soft before they went out. I went to the bathroom. The door was open. The light was on, low, the kind of dim that motels use for nights. A clean towel was folded on the rack. A small wrapped bar of soap sat on the lip of the sink. The mirror was clean. There was a single dark hair on the porcelain, very long, caught in the curve of the basin. I did not touch it. I stepped back out and closed the door behind me. Somewhere down the row of rooms, on the other side of a wall, a vacuum cleaner was running. The sound was even, unhurried, the soft push and pull of a housekeeper on a carpet. I let out a breath I had not known I was holding. Of course, a room turned down for an early arrival. A fresh towel. A mint on the pillow. I had been driving too long. I had been reading the room the way a tired man reads a tired room. The first car came in around the time the clock on the nightstand said 1/4 something. I had been sitting on the edge of the bed with my coat still on, listening to the rain. The headlights swept across the curtains in a slow arc, the room brightening and dimming again, and the sound of tires on the wet lot came in through the walls. The engine cut. The car did not move. I sat very still. I could hear the tick of it cooling, and the rain and nothing else. No door opened. No footsteps went past. After a long minute, I got up and went to the window and moved the curtain a 1/4 inch with one finger. The car was a small dark shape in the lot, the wipers off, the inside of it black. I watched it. It did not move. I let the curtain fall. I sat back down. The phone rang. It rang once, a long soft ring that came from the nightstand and went into the wall, and then it stopped. I sat and looked at it. I picked it up. There was a message. A woman's voice, low, a little out of breath, as if she had been hurrying up the stairs. She said, "I'm sorry I was late." I waited. The room smells like rain. She did not say who she was. She did not say where she had been. There was the soft sound of water behind her and a door closing, and then the line went still. I held the phone for a long time. I put it back. I sat on the edge of the bed and let the simpler story settle over me. I knew the chain. I had stayed at their places before, in other towns, in other years. They had an app, a small green one with a room key icon. You could check in from the road, and the key would be waiting on the counter under your name. The app could also turn the heat on for you an hour before you arrived, so the room was warm when you walked in. Housekeeping read the reservation notes in the morning. If you asked for a turned-down bed, a particular brand of soap, a low warm bulb, it went on the file. A long-haul driver who stopped at the chain once or twice, a season ended up with a profile in a computer somewhere, and when he booked a room, the profile went on ahead of him. The room was staged. It was a small, careful thing. That was it. That was all of it. The key on the counter was mine because I had checked in somewhere back down the road. In a moment, I had not quite registered. The heat was on because the app had done what the app did. The bed was made the way the file said I liked it. The towel was a fresh fold. The hair in the sink was from the last guest, a woman housekeeping had missed in a hurry. The car in the lot was another guest, waiting on a key that had not been set out yet. The woman on the phone was the same woman, calling from the road to say she was running late. None of it meant what I had begun to think it meant. None of it meant a thing. I sat with the story for a long minute. It fit the way a key fits a lock you have used before. I almost stood up and turned the lamp off. I almost went to bed. Then I opened the closet. There was a long mirror on the inside of the door and a single wooden hanger with a coat on it. The coat was a dark wool, the kind I have worn before, in a color I have owned before, in a size that was mine. The tag was still on the sleeve. I did not take it off. There was an umbrella leaning in the corner, plain black, no name on the handles. On the shelf above it, a brown leather weekend bag, soft with use, the kind of bag a man takes on a long drive when he is not sure how long he is going to be gone. The lamp on the nightstand flickered twice, slowly, like a candle that is thinking about going out, and then it came back. I closed the closet. I sat on the edge of the bed. I did not turn the lamp off. I took my phone out of my pocket. I do not know why. I think I wanted the small comfort of a lit screen, or I wanted to prove the story to myself one more time. The lock screen came up. The time, the weather, the chain of small red badges I had not opened. I opened the reservation app, the green one. My reservations, sorted by date, the closest first. The next one was at a different chain, in another state, 2 weeks from now. There was nothing for tonight. There was no check-in. There was no room waiting on a counter under my name. I scrolled again, in case I had missed it. There was nothing. I put the phone down on the nightstand. The screen went dark. I sat very still. The app had not checked me in. The key on the counter was not mine. The heat was on for someone. The bed was turned down for someone. The coat in the closet was for someone. I got up and went back to the bathroom. On the counter, where the wrapped soap had been, there was a small packet in clear plastic. A toothbrush. The brand was the brand I use, the exact brand, the one I have to drive a little out of my way to buy. The wrapper was still crisp, the kind of crisp that does not last a week, the kind of crisp that means a thing has been in a place for an hour, maybe two. I unwrapped it slowly. I have no idea why I did that. I have no idea why a person unwraps a toothbrush they did not ask for. I ran it under the tap. I set it on the glass. I stood there. I went back to the sink to wash my hands. The mirror was fogged at the edges, in a soft cloud about 1.5 inches deep, the way a mirror fogs when someone has run a hot shower for 10 minutes. I had not run the shower. I had not been in the room long enough to fog a mirror. The second towel on the rack was damp. I picked it up. It was warm. I went back to the bed. I sat on the edge and looked at the pillow in the lamplight. The dent in the center of it was very specific. The width of it, the depth of it, the way the hair had pressed the fabric down in a pattern I had seen before in 1,000 hotel mirrors, in the shape my own head leaves on a pillow when I have been asleep for a long time. It was my dent. I had made it. I did not remember making it. Down the row, on the other side of a wall, the vacuum cleaner was still running, in the same slow, even push and pull it had been making when I first heard it, as if it were not cleaning anything, only keeping time. Somewhere far off, beyond the highway, a low roll of thunder moved through the clouds. I felt it more than heard it, a soft pressure in the air, the way a storm settles on a roof and holds there for a long moment. It passed. The rain kept going in the same even line it had been going in for hours. I was standing at the foot of the bed when I heard it. A sound at the door. Not quite a knock. A low, soft thump, the kind of sound that travels through wood and is felt in the floor before it is heard in the air, the way a heavy book sounds when it is set down on the other side of a wall. I was not sure I had heard it. I stood still and listened. The rain on the roof. The vacuum cleaner. The heater under the floor ticking. The thump came again, slower, a little longer, more felt than heard. I went to the door. I opened it. The hallway was empty. The orange light from the sign was on the wet carpet at the far end of the building, where the rain was coming down in a thin sheet off the roof. There was no one there. There was no sound, but the rain and the faint, far-off hum of the vacuum cleaner I had been hearing for an hour. But there was something on the carpet just inside the room. A small square of heavy cream paper, folded once. I picked it up. On the outside, in a careful hand, 2 words. "I see you soon." The handwriting was mine. I know my own handwriting the way I know my own face. I have written it on 10,000 checks, on the margins of 1,000 books, on the labels of 1,000 jars. It was mine. And in the carpet, where the paper had been slid in, there was a shape pressed flat in the pile. A hand. Smaller than mine. The fingers slightly spread, the palm clear, as if someone had knelt in the hallway and braced themselves against the floor for a long moment before they let go and stood up and walked away. I stood in the doorway for a long time. I looked down the empty hallway. I looked at the handprints. I put the paper in my pocket. I closed the door. I locked it. I sat on the edge of the bed. I do not know how long I sat there. The clock on the nightstand was still slow. The rain on the window had gotten softer, the way rain does in the small hours when it is tired. I put the paper in my pocket. I got up. I took my coat off the chair and put it on. I went out into the hallway and then out into the lot. The car that had been sitting there was gone. There was a long dark shape on the wet concrete where it had been parked, the way a car leaves a shape in the dust when it has been there for an hour, but there was no dust. There was only the rain. The office was still unlocked. The light was still on. The chair by the window was still empty. I went to the counter. There was a ledger there, a real paper ledger, the kind that motels used to use before they stopped, the kind that you sign with a pen in a place that is not really a name. I opened it. I turned the pages. I came to a fresh one near the back. Room 412. My name in my handwriting, in a date that was today. 3 nights. The signature at the bottom was mine. I had only paid for 1. I have never written a reservation for 3 nights. I do not remember writing it. I closed the ledger. I stood there. Somewhere beyond the lot, beyond the highway, a long, low roll of thunder moved through the clouds, the kind that takes its time about arriving, and the room I was standing in got a little darker for a moment as it passed, the way a room does when the clouds over a parking lot thicken up. The rain stopped for a moment, the way rain does when it is about to start again, as if the sky is taking a breath. I could hear the highway in the distance, very faint. I could hear the heater in the office, a low ticking. The neon sign outside threw a long orange line across the wet floor. I put my hand on the counters. I put my hand in my pockets. The key was still there, warm. The paper was still there, folded. I took it out and looked at it. The square of cream stock had the 2 words on the outside, in my own hand, in the careful version of my own hand. I see you soon. I put it back in my pockets. Then I looked at the brass dish, where I had picked up my key an hour ago. There was a key in the dish again. A new one. A square white tag, the same kind of tag. The number on the tag was 413. The handwriting on the tag was not mine. It was a stranger's hand, a slow, careful hand, the kind of hand that takes its time with letters. I did not touch it. I went back out into the rain. The lot was quiet. My car was where I had left it, the door still open. I got in. I sat there. I did not start the engine. The rain started again. The wipers were off. I did not turn them on. I sat there for a long time, listening to the rain on the roof. It is 3:14 in the morning when the elevator moves on its own. I am behind the front desk in the half-dark of the lobby, halfway through a thermos of coffee that went cold an hour ago, and I see it. The indicator above the doors, the small brass arrow that points to where the car is resting, begins to slide. It does not slide because anyone has pressed a button. There is no sound of a call. The lobby is empty. The chairs in the small sitting area are arranged in the way no one has sat in them for weeks. The rain on the front windows has been falling for so long the glass has lost the memory of being dry. The arrow passes 1. It passes 2. It passes 3. It settles with a soft mechanical sigh on the letter B. The Bradford has no basement. I set the thermos down. I watch the doors. The small panel above them glows a dim amber. After a moment, the arrow begins to slide again. It comes back down through the floors, past 3, past 2, past 1, and the car arrives. The doors open. No one steps out. The light inside the elevator is on, warm, the kind hotels use to make a person feel at home. The air that comes out carries a trace of perfume. It is faint, floral, the kind that might be in a small bottle on a bathroom counter or might be in a soap. I stand very still. The doors stay open for a long time. Then, with a soft click, they close again. The lobby is empty. The rain keeps falling. The Bradford is a city hotel in the slow part of its year. Out front on the avenue, the traffic has thinned to a few taxis and the occasional delivery van. Inside, the lobby is wide and low-ceilinged, with dark carpet, brass fixtures, and a long front desk that is older than anyone who works at it. The air has a permanent hush, the kind that comes from soft furnishings and old wood, and a building that is mostly asleep. In the morning, there are 7 guests. There is a couple on the 5th floor who came in for a wedding that was postponed. There is a man on the 2nd floor who has been here for 2 weeks and reads the paper in the lobby until noon. There are 2 staff at the front desk during the day. There is 1 in housekeeping. There is a cook who comes in at 4 and goes home at 9. At night, there is me. I have been on night maintenance at the Bradford for 11 months. I like the work. I like the quiet. I like the way the building settles in the small hours, the way the vents breathe, the way the rain on the windows becomes the only weather. I know the rhythm of the place. I know the small creaks of the lobby, the way the elevator hums at each landing, the way the back stairwell smells of detergent and old carpet. I am good at the work, and the work is good at leaving me alone. I live in a small apartment in the next neighborhood. I have a key. I have a lease. I have a plant on the kitchen window that I water on my days off. I do not think about the apartment much. The hotel has become the place where I keep my hours. In the morning, when the day clerk comes in, she mentions the flowers. She is a small woman, careful, who has worked the front desk for 19 years and who does not say much. She says only that they were not there yesterday afternoon, that she did not put them out, and that housekeeping did not put them out. She says the water in the vase is clear. She says the stems are cut clean. I look at the lilies. They are white, and there are 7 of them, arranged loosely. The vase is one of the lobbies, a heavy glass cylinder I know from the storage closet on the second floor. I touch a stem. The cut is recent. The water is cold. I did not notice them in the morning. I do not know how I missed them. I stand in the lobby for a long time looking at the arrangement, and then I go back to my rounds. I think for the rest of the day about who might have left them. The couple on 5 are not the kind. The man on 2 does not leave his room. Housekeeping would have said. The cook comes in at 4 and goes home at 9. No one else has a key to the lobby at that hour. The lilies sit on the counter all day. By the evening, they have opened a little. By the next morning, they will be wider. The water will still be clear. I find myself, in a way I cannot quite name, almost sure I have seen this vase before, in this exact spot, in this exact arrangement, in some other week I cannot place. The way you know a thing because your hands have done it, even when your mind has not. I shake the feeling off. The building is old. Old buildings repeat themselves. The next night, at the same hour, I watch the elevator again. It is 3:14. The arrow slides. The arrow settles on B. I cross the lobby, my shoes soft on the carpet, and step into the car when the doors open. I press 4. The car rises. The indicator slides past 1, past 2, past 3, and then pauses. The doors open. I am on 4. The hallway in front of me is long and dim, lit by a series of small wall sconces that give off a yellowish light. The carpet is the same dark color as the lobby, but the pile is fresh. The edges have not been walked down. It has been put down recently, and no one has walked on it. The air carries the same trace of perfume from the elevator this morning, faint and floral, the kind that sits in a room that has been cleaned for an arrival. I walk a little way down. The doors have small brass plates with old numerals, the kind used in buildings from a long time ago. At the far end, a door is ajar. A thin line of warm light falls across the carpet, the kind a bedside lamp gives off in a small room. I stand for a long time. I listen. I push the door open with one finger. The room is small and neat. The bed is made. A robe is folded on the pillow. A newspaper is open on the nightstand, folded to the crossword, half finished. A pair of slippers sits by the bed, the kind hotels provide, but worn at the heel. A cup on the desk holds coffee that is no longer warm. A book lies on the chair, open face down, the spine cracked from use. A small stuffed bear sits on the pillow beside the robe, one button eye missing, the seam at the shoulder restitched with thread that does not quite match. The room has the stillness of a place that has been occupied for a long time. I look at the newspaper. The date on the front page is 3 years from now. The same month, the same paper, the same day of the week. I look at the crossword. The handwriting is even and small. The handwriting is mine. I do not feel afraid. I feel in the way a person feels when they open a drawer in their own house and find something they do not remember putting there, a small, slow wrongness. I close the door. I walk back to the lobby. The lilies have opened a little more. I sit at the desk for a long time, in the chair no one has sat in, and I do not turn the lights up. In the morning, the day clerk asks if I slept at the desk. I tell her I was thinking. I tell her about the elevator. I say it the way a person says a thing when they want it to sound ordinary. I say the relays are old. I say the building was wired in the 70s and that the indicator panel has a habit of settling on a floor that no longer exists when the ambient temperature drops. I say the arrow lands on B because the building's old call board has a phantom contact, the kind that builds up in panels that have not been cleaned in a decade. I say I have seen this in other hotels. I say it is a mechanical thing. I say it in the voice of a man who has worked maintenance for 11 months and knows the building's small misbehaviors the way a person knows the cough of an old car. She nods. She does not ask me to go up and look. I do not offer to. I tell her I will file a work order in the morning, the kind that goes to the elevator company, the kind that takes 6 weeks to be read. I write the work order myself on a half-printed form from the back office in my own even hand. I sign it Marcus Hadley. I date it today. I fold it into my pocket, and I do not look at the date a second time, and I do not think about the room at the end of the 4th floor hallway, and I do not think about the bear, and the work goes on. The relays are old. The building is old. Old buildings do this. Old buildings have a kind of memory that is not the kind of memory you can talk to, but it is the kind you can live with, the kind that, if you do not look at it directly, will leave you alone for a while. I look at the work order again the next morning, when the day clerk has gone to lunch. I unfold it on the desk. The signature is not the same as mine in the way a stranger's can look like mine. The signature is the way I sign my name when I am not thinking about it. The H in Hadley has the small tail I make when I am tired. The cross of the T in Marcus sits the way mine has always sat. The date is not a misprint. The year is right. The month is right. The day of the week is right. The work order is not for the elevator. It is a guest amenity request for room 4. Folded fresh towels. A late checkout. A small stuffed bear ordered from a shop in the next neighborhood, the kind of shop that sells toys for someone who is no longer a child, but has not quite stopped being one. The maintenance request is signed by a guest, in the hand of a guest. I fold the work order and put it back in my pockets. I find the staff directory on the wall behind the desk. The list is printed on heavy cream paper, framed in brass. The names are in alphabetical order. I look for Hadley. The H section has 4 names. Hadley is not among them. There is a Hartley, a Hess, a Hinds, and a Hollies. I check the photo wall beside it. The maintenance staff are in the bottom row. I know most of them by face. I do not see my face. I see a man I do not know with a nameplate that says M. Hadley. The photograph is from a long time ago. The man in the photograph has a small stuffed bear on his desk, the same kind of bear I saw last night. The photograph is dated 11 years ago. I have worked here for 11 months. The coffee is on the desk when I come back from a round. I did not make it. I never make coffee at this hour. I do not drink it at this hour. It is in a paper cup from the place on the corner, the one with the green logo. There is a ring of lipstick on the rim. The color is a soft red, the kind that wears off in a few hours. I pick up the cup. The cup is warm. I turn. The lobby is empty. The chairs are arranged in the way no one has sat in them. The front windows are still dark with rain. I hold the cup for a moment. I do not drink from it. I set it down. The radio on the counter behind the desk is on low. A song is playing. I know the song. It is from a long time ago, from when I was a child, from the kitchen in the house I grew up in. It has not been on the radio in years. I turn the dial slowly. The song continues. I turn past the stations I know. The song continues. I turn all the way around. The song continues. The station is set to a frequency that has no number. I turn the radio off. The lobby is quiet. The song is still in my head. I stand very still. The vents breathe. The rain on the windows is the only other sound. I go back to the elevator. I press 4 on purpose. The car rises. The doors open. The hallway is the same. The same dim sconces, the same dark carpet that no one has walked on, the same faint perfume, the same doors with the old numerals. I walk to the end. The door at the far end is open now, all the way. The thin line of warm light has become a rectangle. I stand in the doorway. I do not step inside. The room is the same. The bed is made. The robe is folded on the pillow. The slippers are worn at the heel. The stuffed bear sits beside the robe, the same missing button eye, the same restitched seam. The cup on the desk has been filled again. The coffee is warm. A small envelope has been left on the nightstand beside the pen. The envelope is cream. The name on the front, in the same even hand, is Marcus Hadley. Room 4. Welcome back. I open the envelope. Inside is a key card, a room key for the 4th floor, in the name M. Hadley, valid through the end of next month. I look at the key card. I look at the room. I look at the stuffed bear. I look at the newspaper with the date 3 years from now. I look at the work order in my pocket. The radio is playing again in the hallway, the same song, very soft, from a station with no number. I stand in the doorway. I do not step inside. The light in the room is warm. The coffee is warm. The key card is in my hand. I do not step inside. I turn. The elevator is gone. The doors at the end of the hall are closed. The panel above them reads 4. The small brass arrow above the panel, the same kind of arrow as in the lobby, is moving. The arrow moves down. It passes 3. It passes 2. It passes 1. It settles on B. The lobby is empty when I come back down the back stairwell. The stairwell is quiet. The vent breathes. The carpet on the floor of the stairwell is the same dark color as the lobby. I walk to the desk. The radio is on again, low. The same song is playing, but it is slower now, as if the tape is stretching. The lilies have opened a little more in the hours. The petals are wide. The room smells faintly of them. I stand in the lobby. I do not turn the radio off. I stand there for a long time. The floorboards under my feet give a small creak, the kind old buildings make when they are settling or when they are not. I go to the front desk. I look at the spot where the lilies were. The lilies are gone. In their place, on the same ring of moisture on the counter, sits a small glass jar with a single white camellia. The stem is short. The flower is fresh. The water in the jar is clear. I did not see a camellia in any florist order for the Bradford. I have never seen a camellia in this neighborhood. Camellias are not in season. They would have to come from a hothouse or from a garden that does not exist in the city. The petals are wide and cool to the touch. The scent is faint and green, different from the lilies, quieter, the kind that sits in a room that has been arranged for a long time. I pick up the jar. The glass is cool. I set it down. I look at the registration book. I do not open it. The lobby is quiet. The rain is still falling. The arrow above the elevator is on B. It does not move. The camellia sits on the counter. I stand behind the desk for a long time, and then I sit down in the chair no one has sat in, and the rain keeps falling. The road narrowed 3 miles back, then narrowed again. I had not been planning to drive this far. I had been driving because the house was too quiet, because the work had stopped, because nothing in my life was pulling at me the way it usually does. I drove with my headlights on low because the map showed this road as a small one, a hand-drawn line, and I did not want to miss the turnoff in the rain. The wipers made their slow metronome, and the trees came close on either side, branches tapping the roof in no pattern I could follow. The turnoff appeared the way something you are not looking for can suddenly be there, already under the tires, already the right color, already gone around the next bend. I slowed. The cabin was a quarter-mile in. Small, dark wood, a single warm light in the window, exactly as a place I had not been to could be. I had not reserved a cabin. I am sure of that. I have not opened a rental site in weeks. The porch light was on, though no one had been here to turn it on. I sat for a moment with my hands still on the wheel. On the passenger seat, my phone buzzed once. The email was from me. The subject line was the address of this cabin. The timestamp was 3 months from tonight. The body read, "You will want to come here. You will not remember why." The boards of the porch were dry under my feet. The cabin door, when I reached it, was already unlocked. I stepped inside. I did not lock it behind me. There was nothing to lock against. There was no one here. I was sure of it. I was not afraid. I was curious. Something had been waiting for me to arrive, and I had arrived. Inside, the cabin was ready. Not clean, exactly settled. The wood stove was lit low and steady, the kind of fire that has been tended for an hour. The kettle on the stove was warm to the touch, the way a kettle is when it has been recently poured and then left. The curtains were pulled. A small lamp on the table gave the room a soft amber color, the kind of light that makes any room look like a place you have been before. I set my bag down by the door and stood for a moment, just looking. There was a reading chair, a wool blanket folded over its arm, a small bookshelf with the kind of paperbacks you find in summer rentals. On the chair, an open book lay face down, its spine cracked, as if a reader had stepped away mid-chapter. A ceramic mug sat on the side table, the kind with a small line of writing on the side. The mug said, "Stay a while." The bed in the other room was made with clean white sheets, the kind that have been washed in something gentle. I had been driving for 6 hours, and the warmth of the room was the warmth of a place that had been waiting for me to stop. I did not wonder, at first, why a place would wait. I told myself this is what a cabin is for. I told myself I had come here to write. I told myself the cabin was charming. I told myself the cabin was old. I sat down at the kitchen table. The chair was the right height. The table was the right height. I picked up the mug and held it for a moment, the way a person holds a thing they have been given. I went to the kitchen to make myself something to drink. There was a tin on the counter, the kind with a hinged lid and a small picture on the front. I opened it. The loose-leaf tea inside was the blend I order from a small company 3 states away, the kind you can only get by mail, the kind no rental would stock by accident. The color was the same dark brown. The smell, when I leaned close, was the same faint bergamot, the same note of dry leaf. I closed the tin. I opened it again. The tea was the same. I had ordered a fresh tin only a week before, and it had not yet arrived. I had been waiting on it. I had been thinking, the day I left, that I would have to wait until I got home to have a proper cup. I stood with the tin in my hand for a long time. The small picture on the front of the tin was of a cabin. The cabin in the picture was this cabin. I put the kettle on. I did not look at the tin again. I made my cup the way I make it at home, and I drank it the way I drink it at home, and the room was quiet, and the fire made its small sound. I went back to the reading chair and looked at the open book. I had been avoiding it. I picked it up. The title page was plain. The title was my name. The author was a name I did not recognize. The dedication read, "For the one who will arrive tonight." I set the book down. I did not open it. I picked up the mug. Stay a while. I set the mug down. The cabin was not echoing me. I was sure of that. I was not sure what it was doing instead. I went to look at the rest of the cabin. The hallway was narrow, wood-paneled, with a small rug that ran most of its length. There was a shutter on the window at the end of the hall, the kind that hangs on a hinge and taps the wall when the wind moves. As I stepped into the hallway, the shutter tapped. Soft. Once. I took a step. The shutter tapped again, in the same soft way, as if it were keeping time with me. I stopped. The shutter stopped. I stood very still for a long time, listening. The wind outside was steady, the kind of wind that does not gust. I took another step. The shutter tapped. It did not tap again until I moved, and then it tapped in the rhythm of my walking, soft and even, the way a person walking beside you might tap a hand against a railing. I went on into the bedroom. On the wall there was a clock, the kind you find in country places, the kind that does not run quite right. I almost walked past it. I stopped. The clock was set to a time that was wrong by 17 minutes. I picked up my phone. The phone showed no signal, in the way phones sometimes show no signal in deep woods. The battery was full. The clock on the phone said the right time. I put the phone down. The clock on the wall was wrong in the way my clock at home is wrong, the way I set it wrong on purpose, the small private adjustment I make so I have a few extra minutes in the evening. The hands did not move. The clock was not running. It was simply set by someone to the time I would have set it to. I stood in front of the clock for a long time. The minute hand did not move. The hour hand did not move. I told myself it was a charming old thing. I almost believed it. I went to the bedroom to lie down for a moment. The bed was made with clean white sheets, the kind that have been washed in something gentle. I sat on the edge. On the nightstand, there was a notebook I had not seen before. I picked it up. The cover was the soft cloth-bound kind I keep at home, the same pale gray, the same worn corners. I opened it. Most of the pages were blank. The first page that had writing on it was the last. The handwriting was mine. There was a single word on the page, in pencil, in the careful hand I use when I am trying not to wake myself up. The word was stay. I sat with the notebook in my lap for a long time. Stay. I had not written it. I was sure of that. I was almost sure. I have done this before in other places. The half-waking walk to the kitchen, the note left on the counter, the way a tired body can do a thing the mind has not agreed to. I told myself I had been driving for 6 hours, and the cabin was warm, and the body does what the body does when the body is given a quiet place. I told myself I had gotten out of bed, walked to the desk, opened the notebook, written the word, walked back. I told myself I had done it in a fugue, the way I sometimes do small things in the night, turn a lamp off, pour a glass of water, lock a door. I almost believed it. The word was in my handwriting. The pencil was on the desk where I might have set it down. The notebook was open to the page I might have written. I closed the notebook. I put it back on the nightstand. I turned off the lamp. I lay down. I did not sleep. I lay very still and listened to the rain and told myself the word was a thing I had done in a body in the dark, in a place I had just arrived at. I almost believed it. I got up before I had decided to. I went back to the study. The desk was set up the way I would set it up, the lamp angled to the left, a small stack of paper to the right, the chair at the height I would have set a chair to be. On the wall above the desk, there was a photograph in a simple wooden frame, the kind I have at home, a plain oak frame I bought years ago at a shop that has since closed. I almost walked past it. I stopped. The frame had a small chip on the lower left corner, the kind a wooden frame gets when it is set down on a stone counter too hard. I had put that chip in one of my own frames years ago. I held the frame in both hands. In the photograph, a woman was sitting in a chair in a room I recognized as this cabin. She was looking out the window, the way a person looks when they are thinking about something they cannot quite remember. Her face was turned a little to the side, the way faces are turned in photographs you do not know you are in. The face was mine. She was wearing the sweater I had driven here in. I looked down at my own arms. I was wearing the same sweater. On the back of the frame, in soft pencil, a date. The date was 3 years from tonight. I set the frame back on the wall. I did not hang it straight. I left it where my hand had placed it, the way it had been a moment ago. The sleepwalking explanation fell out of me, the way a held breath falls out of a body. I had not sleepwalked into a photograph dated 3 years from tonight. I had not, in any fugue, written a word on a page I had never opened, in a cabin I had never been to, wearing a sweater I had put on this morning. The cabin, I understood, was not waiting for me to do anything. The cabin was finishing me. The drafts were not of the woman I had been. They were of the woman I would be. I was the draft being completed. I sat in the chair at the desk. The chair held me the way my own chair at home holds me, the way a chair holds a person who has been sitting in it for years. I did not turn on the lamp. The lamp was already on. The room was quiet. The fire in the stove made its small sound. The rain went on, soft on the roof, soft on the glass. On the corner of the desk, half under a paperweight, there was a notebook. I opened it. The pages were the same cream color, the same faint grid. A line of writing ran across the top of one page, in pencil, in a hand I would have called my own. The line was this: the cabin was waiting for me to arrive. I closed the notebook. I did not read it again. I sat for a long time with my hands on the desk. The chair was warm. The lamp was the right light. The room was the right temperature. I looked down. There was a pencil in my right hand. I had picked it up. I knew I had picked it up. I did not remember deciding to. I had not reached for it. My hand had simply closed around it, the way a hand closes around a thing it has been holding for a long time. I looked at the page. The page was blank. I had not written anything. I was holding the pencil above a blank page, the way a person holds a pencil above a blank page when they have just been writing and have not yet put the pencil down. I set the pencil on the desk. I did not pick it up again. The cabin, I understood, was not waiting for me to write. The cabin was the hand that was writing me. I was the paragraph being completed. I sat in the chair and let the room be the room. The lamp stayed on. I went to the front door. The rain had stopped for a moment, the way rain sometimes stops in the woods, as if to listen. I stepped out onto the porch. The gravel drive was where it had been, pale in the dark, the trees standing the way trees stand at the edge of a long road. I did not start the engine. I sat on the top step and listened. The air smelled of pine and the last of the rain. I went back inside. I sat at the kitchen table. I drank the tea I had made. It was cold. I made another cup, and this one I drank while it was still hot. I went back to the study. I sat at the desk. The lamp was on. The chair was the right height. The room was the right temperature. The window was dark. I sat for a long time. The fire was low. I did not look at the notebook. The cabin, I understood, was not waiting for me to do anything. The cabin was waiting for me to arrive. I had arrived. The pencil was on the desk. I did not pick it up. The fire had gone down to a soft orange. I did not put more wood on it. I sat in the chair at the desk and put my hands flat on the wood. The window behind me was dark, and the glass reflected the room back to me, the lamp, the desk, the small stack of paper me. I sat very still. In the glass, the room was the same. The lamp, the desk, the chair, the wool blanket folded on the arm of the reading chair across the hall. Nothing in the glass that was not in the room. Nothing in the room that was not in the glass. I did not turn the lamp off. The lamp, for once, was the only thing in the room that was mine. I had not packed the lamp. I had not chosen the bulb. I had not set the angle of the shade. And still, it was the one thing in the cabin that felt like something I had owned for years. I sat with that for a long time. The rain started again on the roof, soft and steady, the way it had been all night. The fire ticked once. The kettle on the stove was still warm. I did not get up. I did not look away. The lamp stayed on. The cabin, I understood, was not waiting for me to write. The cabin was waiting for me to arrive. I had arrived. The lamp was on. That was enough. It is 3:14 in the morning when I see the sign. I am driving north on a route I have run 100 times, the kind of highway that runs through the part of the country no one wakes up for, the part of the country that is just fields and overpasses and a few closed diners for 40 miles at a stretch. The wipers are on the slowest setting. The rain has been falling for 6 hours, the kind of rain that does not let up because it has somewhere else to be. The dispatcher has been off the air since 2. The CB is on. The channel is empty, the way the channel is empty out here in the hours between shifts. I have been awake for 19 hours. I am very tired. The exit appears on the right the way an exit appears in fog, a shape first, then a sign, then a ramp. Exit 47. The sign is amber, the kind of sign that has been amber for 30 years, the kind of sign that has not been lit in a long time. I have driven past this exit 100 times. I have never had a reason to take it. Tonight the sign is lit. Tonight the sign is the only lit thing for 100 miles. I take the exit. The ramp is wet. The diner is at the end of the ramp, a long flat building with a neon coffee cup that has been dark for years. The pumps are off. The lot is empty. There is a phone booth at the edge of the lot, the kind with a sliding door and a plastic rain cover, the bulb inside lit, the bulb throwing a circle of yellow on the wet concrete. I do not know why the phone booth is lit. I do not know why I am here. I leave the engine running. My phone buzzes. I take it out. The screen says voicemail. The timestamp is 3:14 a.m. 2 minutes ago. I am alone in this lot. I press play. The voice is my own. It says calmly, the way you say a thing you have said to yourself 1,000 times, don't take the road past the old way station. Turn back. Trust me, you do not want to know what's at the end of it. My name is Cal. I have been driving a truck for 19 years. I run the same route from Ohio to Maine, the way a river runs the same channel, the way a man runs the same road when he has learned the cracks in the asphalt, and the way the diner coffee tastes at 4 a.m. and the smell of a town he has not stopped in for 15 years. I have a wife in Maine. I have a dog. I have a logbook with mile markers written in pencil in the same handwriting I have had since I was 16. I step into the phone booth. The booth is dry. The booth is warm. The phone inside is the old kind, a black Bakelite with a rotary dial, the kind they stopped putting in booths in the 80s. There is a piece of paper taped to the wall. The paper is yellow. The paper has a list of mile markers in handwriting I would know anywhere. The handwriting is mine. The list says in order 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I do not remember writing this list. I do not know what the list is for. I take out my phone. I open the voicemail. The voicemail is on the screen. The voicemail has a date. The date is 2 days from now. I do not dial the number on the Bakelite. I dial my own number on my cell. The line picks up on the first ring. My voicemail says, "You have reached Cal, leave a message." The voice is mine. The voice is the same voice as the voicemail I just listened to. The voice says, "I told you not to call. I told you not to listen. Why are you listening?" I hang up. The receiver gives a soft click. The receiver is warm, the way a receiver is warm when someone has just put it down. The way a thing is warm when it has been held for a long time by a person who has been on the line for a long time. I step out of the booth. I walk to the truck. The truck is running. The headlights are on. The odometer reads 216,418.3. I wrote down the odometer at the last fuel stop. The reading was 216,402.3. The truck is 16 miles ahead. The lot is 50 yards across. I have not driven the truck. The truck has moved itself. I sit in the cab. I open the logbook. The logbook is open to a page I have not written on. The page has a note in my handwriting. The note says, "The road starts at the way station." The road does not show on your map. The road will look familiar. You will think you have been on it before. You haven't. Or you have, but you don't remember it. The road is 16 miles long. The road is the same 16 miles every time. The road has an end. I never reached the end. I close the logbook. I do not start the engine. The engine is already running. I tell myself I am tired. I tell myself the rain is in my head the way rain gets in your head when you have been driving through it for 6 hours, the way a man begins to hear things that are not there because the road is a long, quiet place, and the brain does not like a long, quiet place. I tell myself the voicemail is a glitch, the kind of glitch phones get in the rain, the kind that puts a message from your own number on your screen. I tell myself the odometer is a thing odometers do. I tell myself the handwriting is mine because I have been writing mile markers all week, and the brain pulls up an old map and lays it over a new one. I do not believe any of it. I look at the diner. The diner is dark. The diner is the kind of diner that has a counter and a few booths, and a coffee machine that has been cold for years. There is a light on in the back. There is a figure in the back, standing at a window looking at me. The figure is a man. The figure is wearing a jacket with a trucking company patch I have not seen in 20 years. The figure is me. I look away. I look back. The figure is gone. The light is off. The diner is dark. I am tired. I tell myself I am tired. I tell myself the diner is a diner I have not been to in years, and the brain pulls up a memory of a man in a window from some other place, the way the brain pulls up a face from a town you stopped in once in 2002. I tell myself the figure was a reflection, the way a reflection looks like a person in a dark window at 3 a.m. I tell myself the logbook is a logbook I have been writing in all week, and the note is in my hand because I have been writing notes all week. I tell myself the odometer is a thing odometers do. I tell myself the voicemail is a thing phones do. I do not believe any of it. I take out my phone. I open the voicemail. The voicemail is gone. The call log is empty. The phone says, I have no new messages. I put the phone in my pocket. I take the phone out. I open the voicemail. The voicemail is back. The timestamp is 3:14 a.m. The date is 2 days from now. The phone booth light is still on, the bulb throwing a circle of yellow on the wet concrete, the bulb buzzing the way bulbs buzz when they have been on for a long time. I get out of the cab. I walk to the booths. The paper is still on the wall. I take the paper down. I fold it. I put it in my pocket. I look at the diner. I do not walk to the diner. I get back in the truck. I put the truck in gear. I drive. The road is a county road, 2 lanes, the kind that runs between fields, the kind that has not had a center line in years. The way station is a mile down the road, the low concrete building where they used to check the trucks, the building that has been closed since I was a young man. The way station is lit. The way station has a single fluorescent tube on inside, the cold blue kind, the kind that hums. The way station is the only lit thing on the road. I pass the way station. I look to the left. There is a road. The road is not on my map. The road is a 2-lane, the same width as the highway, but the lines are different. The lines are older. The lines are painted in a yellow that has not been used in 20 years. The road runs straight into fog. There is a sign at the entrance. The sign is amber. The sign says Exit 47. The sign is the sign I saw at the diner. I stop the truck. I do not turn onto the road. I sit in the cab. The wipers are on. The fog is on the road. There is a figure at the entrance to the road. The figure is a man. The figure is wearing a jacket with a trucking company patch I have not seen in 20 years. The figure is waving. The figure is me. The figure stands at the entrance, waving slowly, the way a man waves when he has been waiting a long time. I sit in the truck for a long time. I do not know how long. The engine idles. The heater is on. The fog is on the windshield. The fog is on the windows. The road is lit only by the way station light. The figure is at the entrance to the road. The figure is still waving. I think about the road. I think about the road the way you think about a road you have been told not to take. The way the mind pulls up a road you have not been on in 20 years. The way a road becomes a place in your head. The way a song becomes a place in your head. I think about the man at the entrance. I think about the man in the diner. I think about the odometer. I think about the voicemail. I think about the date on the voicemail, which is 2 days from now. I think about my wife. I think about my dog. I think about the road home. I think about the road that is not the road home, the road that runs into fog, the road that has a sign I have seen before, the road that has a man at the entrance. I put my hand on the door handles. I do not open the door. I do not get out. I do not walk up the road. I do not wave back. I put the truck in gear. I drive away. I drive past the way station. I drive back to the highway. The highway is empty. The rain is steady. The wipers are on the slowest setting. I check the odometer. The odometer reads 216,402.3. The odometer is back to the reading I had at the fuel stop. The truck is where I left it. The truck has been here the whole time. I get on the highway. I drive north. I drive the way a man drives when he has decided not to think about a thing, the way a man keeps his eyes on the line, the way a man does not look at the rearview mirror. The rain is steady. The wipers are on. The CB is on. The channel is empty. I drive for an hour. The dispatcher comes on the air. The dispatcher is a voice I have heard 1,000 times. The voice that comes on at the top of the hour to let the trucks know the road is open. The road is clear. The road is the road. Trucker, be advised. The northern route past the alternate is closed for the season. The way station is closed for the season. The road past the way station is closed for the season. The road is not a road. The road is a thing we do not talk about. Stay on the main. Stay on the main. Stay on the main. The dispatcher signs off. The channel is empty. The CB is silent, the way a CB is silent when a voice has just told you a thing you did not want to hear. I drive. The road is empty. The road is the road. The road is long. The road is longer than I remember. The road is the kind of road that does not end, the kind of road that runs through a county the way a road runs through a county when the county is a place you cannot leave. The fog is in the cab. The fog is on the seat beside me. The fog is in the cup holder. I can taste it. I do not wipe the windshield. I let the wipers do their work. I check my phone. The voicemail is gone. The call log is empty. The paper from the booth is in my pocket. I do not take it out. I do not unfold it. I keep my hand on the wheels. The odometer reads 216,418.3. I do not check. I do not want to know. The odometer reads 216,418.3, the way a number reads when the number is not a number, but a way of saying the road has been there a long time, the way a road reads when a road has been waiting. The road goes on. The wipers are on the slowest setting. The rain is steady. The rain has been steady all night. I keep driving.